Greetings guys, I hope you're good. We're looking at Nasdaq 100 and we are on the monthly chart. And just to recap guys, a couple of months ago I spoke about how we have this candlestick over here. Just bear with me. This candlestick over here, it is a bearish candlestick with quite a small body and a relatively long lower wick. And as I've said guys, it tells us that we have a lot of liquidity sitting at this point, and that sometime in the future we will see price or rather the market push down to this level to grab that liquidity. And that is because, as I've said guys, liquidity represents money that needs to be grabbed by the market at one point or another, right? But before price reaches this point over here, just remember also that we have this level over here, which is also a very strong level of support, and that is because we've had a rejection at that point. And chances are, as I've said guys, before price reaches this point, we might get a rejection of sorts at this point over here, and perhaps price may bounce up and then only push further down after quite some time, right? Another thing that is also very much important is the fact that we have this level over here. It is a very strong level of support, and as much as I'm saying that in the future we will see price possibly push down to this level and possibly again this level over here, it is quite possible also that we might see price from where it is actually push further up and only come down to these levels much later in the decade, right? So in other words, I'm saying that it may take quite some years for price to reach these levels over here, but at this point in time they're not important. The most important level at this point in time is this level over here, which is a very strong level of support, as I've said. Let me just actually mark that zone, which is over here. Just bear with me guys, and just remember that support and resistance are not actual lines, rather areas, right? So we could say that this whole area over here is a very strong level of support. And apologies for the noise barking in the background. Nonetheless, let's proceed, right? So from here, what I'm going to do, seeing that there's not really much of interest on the monthly chart, is to head down to the weekly chart. Here we are on the weekly chart. I'm just going to zoom out a bit. So what do we see on the weekly chart, guys? On the weekly chart, we also have another candlestick over here, which is a bearish candlestick actually, with a relatively small body and quite a long lower wick. And that candlestick also tells us that we have liquidity at that point. And as I've said guys, liquidity is money that needs to be at one point or another triggered by the market. So we will in the future see price reach that level to trigger that liquidity. Let's see what else do we have. We can also see that last week candlestick, which is over here, also closed as a bearish candlestick with a small body and quite a long candlestick as well, rather a long wick as well. And it too tells us that it is a liquidity candlestick and it needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another at that level, right? I'm just going to zoom out a bit again. So guys, at this point we can see that there is plenty of scope for the market to push further down, right? Let's see. What else do we see guys in regards to the weekly chart of Nasdaq 100? Let's see, right? Another thing that I see that is also very much interesting is the fact that, let me just actually zoom in a bit. We have what seems to be a W structure forming at this point. However, in order for us to take this potential W structure seriously, we need at least on this side to have one bullish candlestick, right? At this point in time, we only have bearish candlesticks. So at this point, I don't want to say it's been confirmed, right? But as soon as we have a bullish weekly candlestick, then chances are that we may possibly see the market push further up and at least to this level. And that is because that is the neckline of that W structure, and we know that necklines are areas of resistance. And as much as we would love to see price push further up from there, what may actually happen is that at this area of resistance, the market may actually reject this level and then push further down, right? So just keep that in the back of your mind as you proceed, right? Another thing that I see that is also very much interesting is that, as much as I've said guys, we may possibly have a W structure, can you also see that we have what seems to be an opposing M structure over here? right, which similarly has a neckline at that point, right? So as much as I said, guys, that we may possibly see the market do this, what may actually happen is, because of this smaller M formation over here, which has a neckline at that point, price may push up to that neckline to test it, and at that neckline we might see price push further down, right? As we head down to the weekly chart, we will see that we do have a very nice M structure at that point. So yeah, let's head down to the daily chart. Let's see, just bear with me. Okay, here we are on the daily chart. Yeah, here we are on the daily chart. Let's have a look. In fact, before we continue, I just want to start off by adding our daily channel first, so just bear with me, guys. Let's see, I would add my daily channel in this manner, more or less. Let's see. So there goes my daily channel, more or less. And just remember, guys, that we need to ensure that our channels are as accurate as possible, just to ensure that ultimately at the end of the day, when we do execute, our execution is also very much accurate. So we could say that that's our daily channel, more or less, guys. There we go, right? Then I'm gonna zoom in. And just to recap, guys, remember on the weekly chart I spoke about how we may possibly have this W structure, but we're just awaiting a bullish candlestick to form on that side, right? Another thing that I said is that in regards to this area over here, we have a very nice M structure, right, as you guys can see, with a neckline at that point, right? Now that we are on the daily chart, can you actually see that we have a triple top in that location, which is similar to an M structure really, and it has a neckline at that point. And you guys know by now that whenever we have triple tops, right, actually let me just draw it here. Whenever we have triple tops, right, we want to see price breaking to the bottom side of that neckline and then heading back to that neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where we would look for potential selling opportunities, right? So at this point we can see that the neckline was broken to the bottom side, but we never really got to see the market pushing further up to test the neckline, right, and seeing the price push further down. The market just went straight down, and that happens sometimes. It doesn't always give us that opportunity to enter on the test of that neckline, right? Having said that, guys, we can also see that this particular M structure has actually played itself out. Why do I say so? That is because it started at this point, right, and it ended at this point. So at this point we can just disregard this M structure. Having said that, we just need to ensure, or just remember that that neckline is still very much relevant over here. It's still very much relevant because it is now a very strong level of resistance. Because why? We've had multiple rejections at that level. As you guys can see, we've had multiple rejections, and in the future we might see price rejecting at that point again and then pushing further down. So we just need to keep that in the back of our minds as we proceed, right? So what else do we see, guys, in regards to this daily chart of Nasdaq 100? At this point I really don't see much, although I just want to point out that we also have this candlestick over here. It is a bullish candlestick with a small body and quite a long upper wick, which too tells us that we have a lot of liquidity at that point at the top, and in the future we will see the market coming to this level to grab that liquidity, because it is money that needs to be triggered by the market, right? Anyway, what else do we see, guys? Another thing that I see that is also very much interesting is that we have what seems to be a very nice W structure developing there, which has a neckline at that point. Can you guys see that, right? And just like with M structures or triple tops, whenever it comes to W structures, we want to see price breaking to the upside of that neckline, coming back to the neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where we would look for potential buying opportunities, right? So I'm just going to add a neckline for that smaller W structure. Yeah, there we go, more or less. There we go, right? But do not confuse this small W structure with that bigger W structure that I spoke about on the weekly chart. Do not confuse the two, right? Anyway, let's proceed. So what else do we see, guys, on this particular chart? At this point I don't see much, so what I'm gonna do is head down to the H4 chart, and here we are on the H4 chart. Let's see. The first thing that I'm going to do in regards to the H4 chart is to fix my daily channel. Let's see. Just bear with me, guys. I just want to make sure that it is as accurate as can be. There we go. That should be fine, right? There we go. Right. So just to recap, guys, remember on the daily chart we spoke about how we have this triple top, right? And we also spoke about how we have this W structure over here, which also has a neckline at that point, right? So what else do we see, guys, in regards to the H4 chart of USTech or Nasdaq 100? Before we proceed, guys, the first thing that I'm going to do at this point is to add my H4 channel rather, and I would add it in this manner. And once again, guys, I apologize for the dogs barking in the background. Let's proceed. Here we go, more or less. Let's see. There goes my H4 channel, guys. And just remember also that as much as possible, we just need to ensure that our channels are pretty accurate, right? And yeah, here we are, right? So another thing that motivates that we may possibly see the market pushing up is that we can see that price has closed to the upside of that channel, which is over here, right? To add to that, we also spoke about how we have this W structure over here, right? So the last confirmation that we need that would tell us that chances are that price would reach this level over here is that we need price to close above this neckline, right? That would be a third confirmation. Remember, our first confirmation was this W structure. Our second confirmation that price would continue to move up is that the market closed above that channel. It broke above the channel. The third one would be price closing above this neckline of this W structure, right? Should that happen, chances are that the market will push further up to around this level over here, which is the neckline of the triple top that I spoke about. And I also said to you guys that we've had multiple rejections at this level, and it is now a very strong level of resistance, right? And remember, guys, I said that whenever we have W structures, ideally we want to see price breaking to the upside of that neckline, coming back to the neckline to test it, and at that neckline is where we would look for potential buying opportunities. We would look for potential buying opportunities. We're not just gonna buy, we're gonna look for potential buying opportunities. What this means is that we would need further reasons and further confluence for why we should be at this level over here buying, right? Hope what I'm saying makes sense, right? Anyway, let's proceed, guys. Another thing that I also want to point out before I close, guys, is that as much as we have this W structure over here, right, remember also that what normally happens is traps are set, right? Because as soon as the structure formed, a lot of traders and investors bought on that second leg of the W, and they placed their stop losses just below, right? And that's because, guys, we know by now, we've been taught to buy whenever we see W formations on that second leg rather, and place our stop losses just below, right? So we have a lot of liquidity sitting at this point in the form of stop losses, right? And as soon as the market opens, a lot of people will indeed be buying some more, right? To add to that, other people will be selling because they will be seeing a third touch at this point over here, right? Which is a very strong level of resistance, right? So as I was saying, guys, this may potentially be a trap because it's a W formation. A lot of traders and investors bought on this second leg and placing their stop losses just below. Come when the market opens, we might see potentially the market pushing further down to grab all of those stop losses that are sitting here, and then perhaps push further up or push further down, because remember I spoke about all of those areas at the bottom that are carrying all of that liquidity. So I hope what I've said makes sense, guys. But in as far as buying or selling at this point in time, I don't see opportunities. What I would do is actually wait for the market to close above this zone over here, or rather this neckline, and then for it to come back to the neckline. And if it does so, I would look for potential buying opportunities at this point, right? But just keep in mind that this whole move may be a fake move, in that the market may push further down to stop hunt all of those stop losses that are sitting at this point, right? That is it, guys, and as far as my analysis goes. I hope it makes sense, and peace out, guys.